The fundamental premise behind the ethical warrior concept or the ethical protector concept is that life is an objective value. Now, we've heard the terms all men are created equal, life is an inalienable right. We've heard those things, but we need to examine them because it's very important. When you think all men are created equal, what does that really mean? You know, some people are short, some people are tall, some people are nice, some people are not nice. I mean, what does it really mean? When we try to explain the story or try to have people feel the real essence of human equality, we tell them the hunting story. It was told to me by my mentor, Robert L. Humphrey, when I was a student of his, and it's the story of his role in the Cold War in trying to win hearts and minds overseas. You know, after World War II, America was the preeminent nation on earth. We had helped the world win not one but 2 world wars, and for a while there, everybody respected America. But soon, that respect seemed somehow to turn into resentment. Maybe it was something on their side, maybe it was the way we were acting, but either way, there was a lot of what we would call the ugly Americanism. So Humphrey was sent there to try to stop some unrest and some rioting and flag burning and anti-Americanism that was going on at a missile base at one of our allied countries overseas. We felt that it was counterproductive, and we wanted to understand why those people wanted us to go home. They were chanting, "America, go home." And as I said, burning flags and demonstrating at the gates of this base. When Humphrey got off the plane and started to interview the local Americans about the local people, he would ask questions like, well, why do you think that the people want the Americans to go home? And he got a very surprising answer. He would get an answer like, people? These aren't people. These are stinky, smelly, cruel, crazy subhumans. You know, their culture is unexplainable. Their actions are disgusting, and Humphrey was taken aback by that, saying, oh geez, I can see that the Americans really are culture shocked by their experiences here in this country. But to be fair, he went to the other local folks and asked them too, you know, just 2 questions. What do you want from us Americans? He asked them, what could we do to make for better relations? So what do you want from us Americans, and what can we do for better relations? It was surprising, the answer. They didn't want more money, or they didn't really, truth be told, want us to go home. They just wanted us to treat them with more respect. But what does that mean, respect? Everybody's talking about respect, but what respect for what? And Humphrey was unable to reconcile the Americans' view with the unrest out in town, and he was failing in his mission. Until one day he was invited on a hunting trip. Yes, a bunch of the folks at the embassy had said, you know, there's great boar hunting out here in the back 40. Would you like to go hunting? You know, the people, they're very poor. You can just give them $1 or $2 and they'll beat the brush for you all day. And the pigs run out, and we shoot the boar, and it's a great time. You should go. So Humphrey, he did go. And they all met one morning very early at the motor pool, and they got into a truck and they headed out to one of these villages. Well, back in those days, and even today in some places of the world, you can go a mile up the main drag and feel like you're back in time. You got the mud huts and the unpaved roads. There's no electricity, no running water. Men with beards and surly looks, and women with their faces veiled, and the kids with open sores and flies and runny noses, and sure enough, the talk would start in the truck. Geez, look at this place. Look at these people. How could you live like this? It stinks. It's primitive. And another person would say something like, well, you know, life is cheap out here in the back 40. I mean, you know, they value life in a different way than we do. And somebody else would say, you know, these people, they live like animals. And what could you say? Humphrey said to himself, here we go. Same old talk, but he didn't know what to say either. But in that truck that day, there was an old sergeant. Hadn't said a word yet. In fact, looked a bit like one of the guys in the villages, except for his uniform, you know, a tough old mountain boy, maybe from Kentucky or Tennessee or someplace. And one of the kids in the truck said, you know, these people got nothing to live for. They may as well be dead. And this sergeant said, oh, you think these people have nothing to live for? Okay. He pulls out a knife, hands it to the kid, and says, okay, jump off the back of this truck. Let me see you kill one of them. And there was silence in the truck. And Humphrey said, whoa, what was that? What did he say? That's the first thing that Humphrey had heard anyone say since he'd been in that country that shut up the negative talk about the local people. And he took the sergeant aside and he said, Sergeant, what did you say there? He said, well, sir, you know, sometimes I get embarrassed a little bit the way we talk about these local folks. You know, they don't speak English, but they know what we're saying. And I don't know either why they value their lives so much. Maybe it's these snotty-nosed kids or these women in the pantaloons, but whatever it is, they value their lives and the lives of their loved ones just the same as we do. And we got to give them that. He says, well, what do you say? You're talking about human equality and treating them with respect. You know, we don't speak their language. You know, how do we communicate that? He says, well, it's not always about talking. Sometimes you just got to have guts. You got to have the guts to be able to jump off the back of this truck, knee deep in the sheep dung, walk through the stinkingest, smellingest, scariest part of this village. And with your eyes alone, you got to be able to communicate that you understand that he's a man like you are, that hurts sometimes like you do, that wants for his kids like we all do. That's the only way you can do it. And the point, I think, is that, you know, beneath the dirt, and beneath the cultural differences and the behavioral differences, people all over the world basically are the same. That their lives and the lives of their loved ones are as important to them as yours are to you. And that's the objective, superseding value, the life value of self and others. So when people ask me, well, what do you mean by human equality? I tell them that story.